I'm here. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. All right, thanks a lot for taking the time out of your night tonight to join us here on Radio Nation. I apologize for the technical problems there.
Well, thank you for having me on here tonight.
All right, Evan, let's get into your career. You're a country musician, and you're from Kingsville, Maryland. How did you get involved in country music?
Well, when I started doing this whole music thing, I had no clue where it was going to take me. And I originally started out doing pop, kind of like the whole John Mayer sort of thing, just because I didn't know what direction I wanted to take, so I let my first producer make that decision for me. But I started music about 4 years ago. I thought that back in middle school, I thought I was going to grow up to be sort of a fat computer nerd, because I was pretty tech savvy back in my middle school days. And one night I was sitting on Skype with an ex-girlfriend, and I saw her brother playing Time of Your Life by Green Day in the background. So I was like, hey, I've got a guitar, why don't I try? And my brother, he was the one that, well, I thought that he was going to be the one to grow up and do all this music stuff. And turns out he's not doing that. But I asked him to teach me a few chords, and that first night he just taught me, the typical G, C, D. And then after that, he kind of let me go on my own, and I taught myself. That was about 4 years ago. And I actually couldn't sing a long time ago. I would sing all the time, and I thought I sounded fine, but apparently I didn't. I would record myself on our answering machine while my parents weren't home, and I would listen back to it, and I would just sound awful. And then I guess puberty hit, and something happened.
Got a better voice.
Yeah, something just sparked inside of my vocal cord.
Is it tough being a country musician from Maryland? We had another country musician on from Maryland as well, named Jenny Lee. So is it tough being a country musician from an area that isn't really known for country music?
It is definitely very hard. Within the past 2 years, I've gotten more focused on playing shows in the area, and it's really hard finding people in the area that support country music or support local musicians at all, because there's really not a big music scene here. We kind of have just that pop indie kind of scene, and I just found out that one of our biggest local venues is going to be shutting down in March. So it's definitely hard trying to find the places that'll give you a place to play. Thankfully, some of the people here really do like country music, so they're the people that are keeping this alive, and everyone else who listen to my music. But I went for such a long time without having anybody listen to my music. When I put out the first record, I think maybe only 50 people bought it on iTunes when it released. But a bunch of people bought physical copies, and now more people are buying it because I have fans now.
What is
It's like I put out a record for no one to listen to.
Right.
But it was a great learning experience. Now I know not to do that.
What has been a really big challenge for you as a musician at this point in your career, and what's been the most difficult part?
I think, like I said just a few minutes ago, I think the most difficult part would definitely be trying to find those who believe in you and support you. I've lost a few friends recently because I've sort of gained more success, and they're like, "Oh, your Twitter sounds more like a commercial. You don't sound like a real person anymore." Like, sorry, I gotta promote myself because I don't have a big management company or a big promotion company to do that. And I want to do it all on my own. I want to get that experience. So I think the biggest challenge is definitely finding people who want to invest time in you and want to put you on a stage or just believe in you at all.
How do you, it's going to sound weird, but again, how do you sort of overcome that, or how do you persevere through that sort of thing? You just keep going with what you want to do most?
I think the biggest that I learned this past year is that if I want to get in this industry, I need to learn how to not take no for an answer. That's probably been the biggest thing, because there are so many people that are going to tell you no, and that two-letter word can really knock you down, and it can take you into such a low place, because they'll be like, okay, well, they might like your music, but they might not want to support you, just because I'm a country artist, and I'm 17 years old, and I don't know what I'm doing, apparently. That's one thing that I've heard before. But it's just, I am quite a persistent person, and I will send out emails, and I will call places until I get the answer that I want. I know it sounds really bad, but just taking that no and turning it into a yes. And it's worked a few times, but
let's
people think I'm stubborn.
Sorry if I sound like I'm cutting you off. Just a little bit of a delay with just the feed here in the studio. So it's nothing personal. Yeah. But let's talk about your EP. Your self-titled EP. You released it back in August of last year, I believe, and you've got a single June Night as well, which is one of the ones you've been promoting quite heavily. Talk about the album and how you came up with it, and what sort of things inspired you to create the album.
Well, the first album, actually, we recorded that when I was 14, and I'm 17 now. So we recorded that back in the fall and winter of 2010, I guess. And that one actually released in April. So that released April of 2011. And I worked with a producer named TJ Cornwall, and he's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And he is an insane and incredible guy, and an insane musician. And I wrote I think there were 6 tracks, but we only released 5. And I co-wrote all 6 of the tracks. And I think with the songs, that was where I learned, that was one of my biggest learning points, because I just wrote those 6 songs, one after the other. And I didn't really give myself any choices to choose from for this record. So I kind of forced myself to stay in this little box. So, but I love the song so much. But I don't know. I hated how I did that to myself. But that record, I didn't really know what direction I wanted to take, because that's when I started writing when I was 11. But, I had to get my parents on board. They're like, oh, well, we're not going to put out all this money if this is just going to be a hobby, or if this is what you really want to do. So I proved it to them, and they were on board. So we went and we recorded this EP, and I went in there with these 6 songs, and we were ready to do them, and we just went at it. And I think the songs were mostly about what had been going on in my life at that time. I know Bottle It Up is when I was in this little thing with someone, and I just felt trapped at the time. And I remember I was walking home from school one day, and that title just kept running through my head. So I wrote it down, and we took it into the studio and we wrote it. But I don't know, those songs always have a special place in my heart, I guess. But it was a hard process, because I didn't know what I was doing. It's like, that's when I realized, okay, this is where I really need to push myself. Because that record was out I guess it's been out for a year now, or 2. Yeah, it's 2 years now. And I didn't promote it. I didn't do anything with it. I just put it on iTunes in hopes that somebody would find it, or I gained some fans from it. And I gained a few. But it's like, when you realize that your Facebook fan page is, the most of the likes are from your friends, so the people that you barely know, that's when you realize that you really need to step up your game. And that's what I did. So I used that EP, and we're still selling that EP because we don't have any other things out yet. But we're still selling that, and I'm still proud of it. It's just, the hardest part with that was representing who I was as an artist and who I was as a person. because that wasn't the style that I really was. Because I second-guessed myself when I went into the studio. I'm like, okay, should I start the country music now, or should I just let my producer go at it? So I decided just to give it that versatility, and that's one thing I'm very thankful for, that I've been blessed with this kind of versatility with my voice. And one thing that I really like to do is take R&B songs and turn them into these like country pop kind of things, just to bring out the meaning more and create just a different vibe for them. But yeah.
Fair enough.
And then June Night. Yes, you asked about June Night.
Yeah, if you just want to talk a little bit about that particular song as well.
Yeah, June Night is that is the, I guess that's like the base of what the rest of the album will be like. I recorded that with producers Joseph Kane and Kyle Reeves in Nashville, Tennessee. And that's a song I actually wrote with my friend Leah Berkey back in January of last year. It was the first night I'd ever met her. Her mom was creeping me on Facebook. And she sent me a message, and she was like, yeah, my daughter is a country artist too. You two should get together. And I'm like, okay. And she's from York, Pennsylvania. And she is 15 years old. So I texted her and I was like, let's write. So we got on Skype, and her mom gave us this idea: if a June night could talk. So we're sitting on Skype with this girl I've never met before, and this woman that I've never met before, and we wrote the song probably in about an hour or two. Well, we started it at least, and there were still some lines that we had to fill in. Like, we had if a June night could talk, but it's like, what would happen if a June night could talk? So I think that happened when I was walking home one day too, where that line just hit me: if a June night could talk, then you would never be gone. So that one is definitely one of my favorites, and that is the first single off of the rest of my album that'll probably be out later this year. We still have 6 songs left to cut for that. But the rest of the album should basically, it's more country pop, but there are, I think, like 2 or 3 songs that are more rootsy and bluegrassy, sort of, just to throw in some variety. And then there's also one Christian song. So it's going to be full of everything.
Evan, we're gonna take some questions off of Twitter now, if you don't mind that, because there's plenty of questions. There's no shortage of them at all on Twitter. So we're gonna start off.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're gonna start off with one from Abby Adamson, and she's in Connecticut, and she asks if you could perform with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Somebody just asked me this question at a show on New Year's Eve, and they actually asked if I could do a duet. Well, I guess that's the same thing. Duet with any female country artist, and that would be Sarah Evans. I grew up listening to her, and she's just one of my favorites. And Elvis, too.
Yeah, that would be a good one, too. Who is, this comes from Abby off of Twitter, and she wants to know if, who your inspirations are.
I have a bunch of inspirations, actually. I remember there are 4 records that, well, not records, but 4 CDs that we would listen to in the car all the time when I was a kid, and it was Jody Messina, I'm All Right, Dreaming Out Loud by Trace Adkins, Anything Shania Twain. My mom was obsessed with Shania Twain, and what is his name? Travis Tritt. Those are my 4 biggest ones, and of course Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers. And then I guess if you want to get involved with more modern artists, Austin Mahone, Tyler Ward, Julius Shear, and a bunch of other people, just because of the way that they've incorporated YouTube in their careers. And yeah.
This next question comes off of Twitter, and it's asking if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? It's from Jacqueline.
That's a good one. I was just talking about this the other day. I would love to go to Bora Bora in Tahiti.
Ooh, good answer.
Yes, that is an amazing place. And I was telling my parents, I was like, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to propose to my wife there one day.
Ooh.
But I don't have a wife to propose to, and I don't think there's anything better than Bora Bora, so I don't know where we would do the wedding at. So I think maybe Hawaii for the engagement, and then Bora Bora for the wedding.
This question comes this is off Twitter as well, and this comes from Faith, and she wants to know, when did you start to learn to play the guitar, and what was the first song you learned?
I taught myself about 4.5 years ago, and I played violin from 5th grade to 8th grade, just because I needed an instrument to play in my music class. And I was just bored with it. So I taught myself guitar. My brother helped me out with like 3 chords. And the first song I fully learned was Time of Your Life by Green Day.
Question off of Twitter. What do you talk about your fans? What is it like with the support that you have? And I guess talk, how do you feel about your fans right now? And I guess talk about them. And this comes from, I can't figure out who the person's name off of Twitter, but she probably knows.
It is absolutely incredible to know that I have fans because, like I said earlier, when I put out a record for no one to listen to, I never really got any feedback, and I didn't have that support other than from friends and family. And it's incredible to have a group of people that support you and believe in you for who you are, and that I don't have to change one thing about myself. And it is incredible. There is so many people that will send me screenshots of how many times they've played my single June night, and I think the biggest number was like 2,000 times. They just sent me one the other day, but 2,000 times that they've played that, that is insane. And they think that they're creepy by playing it that much. So I think that it's the coolest thing in the world. I mean, and it's crazy how involved they are. It's like, they'll tell their friends, they'll tell their family, their parents know who I am, and I tell my parents about a bunch of them all the time. So my parents are incredibly involved with this too, and I think some of my fans have met my mom on Ustream once. Nobody's met my dad yet, because he's usually sitting on the couch or doing work. But it's just crazy that there's people that listen to my music and that push me, especially when there are those hard days where you don't really believe in yourself. It's just it's an incredible feeling to have a group of people that will just sit there and remind you about all the good things that you are.
I want to ask you, and this is sort of a time-sensitive question, I guess you could say. Seeing as the Baltimore Ravens are in the playoffs, and I have no idea if you're a football fan, but are you excited that the Ravens are in the playoffs?
I am so stoked. We were at a Ravens party the other night, and it was absolutely crazy. I mean, we're going to the Super Bowl. I mean, last time we went to the Super Bowl was, I think, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's great. Like my friend Dylan was saying the other night that we are 17 years old and we're going to the Super Bowl. It's not like when I was 5, when we were 5, we went to the Super Bowl. I mean, you don't remember that. You don't get to have fun with it. So I think when we had the first Super Bowl, when the Ravens were playing, I think it was against the Giants, my parents were out on a cruise. And every time they talk about it, my mom always says how the right-hand side of the cruise ship was tilted because all the Ravens fans were on that side, and there were no Giants fans on the other. So I am pretty excited, just because, I mean, I didn't think that we were going to do it. I mean, I believe in my team so much, but I didn't know if we were going to be able to pull it together this year.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'm really happy they beat the Patriots, though. This is coming from a sad, depressed Dolphins fan, so I was very happy the Patriots didn't go anywhere.
And it's even more awesome that the two Harbaugh brothers are in this together.
Mm-hmm. That is pretty cool, too.
I mean, the Harbaugh, it's like the Super Bowl Harbaugh. That doesn't happen.
also nice to see
that's a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
It's also nice to see the 49ers in it, too, again, for the first time in gosh knows how many years.
Yeah, it is great. I am excited. I don't know what's happening that weekend, but I think we're going to have a Super Bowl party here at our new house. So.
Now, so you mentioned a little earlier about live stream. Do you know when you'll be doing your next live stream?
I was actually going to do one this past weekend, but I didn't know that my internet would still be out. We moved into this house Friday night, and we haven't had any water, internet, or TV at this house until today, because our well was contaminated with some bacteria, and now that's fine, and now everything is back on at the house. So I might do one probably sometime on Sunday, because I don't have school on Monday. So probably Sunday.
Got a couple more questions here for you, and then we're getting close on time. So I guess how do people get a hold of you on social media and that sort of thing?
Mostly Twitter, and Twitter's probably the biggest one, and Facebook. I try to respond to everything on Facebook. There's not as much on there, but I always forget to log on there. And I mean, there's some posts on there that I haven't responded to yet, and I feel so bad just because Facebook always takes so long to load. And I usually sit in my eating period in school, and I'll just write back to everyone. But thank you for reminding me of that, because I'm going to do that tomorrow.
No worries.
And, so I'll do that tomorrow. And then I also, I have my email address. I have one personal email address. No, actually I have three personal email addresses. One of them is for management, one of them is for personal, and then the other one is personal. But I do have one email address that fans can contact me at, and that is at evanbmusic@gmail.com. And I always respond to that. Just because I know some people have issues with Twitter. Like last night, I know direct messages were down or whatever. So, I had some fans email me on there.
One last question for you. Do you have any plans on doing any shows sort of outside of your little Baltimore, Maryland area there? Do you plan on sort of visiting the United States or traveling elsewhere to perform your music?
Definitely. I will be moving to Nashville, Tennessee on August 7th of this year. So, and I'm doing online college, so I'm going to have much more money and much more time to maybe go on little tours or do something like that. So I have a bunch of friends down in Nashville, so I'll try to hop on one of their tours maybe and go wherever they go and tag along and meet some fans and meet some new fans. So, and I definitely want to come to Canada because I've gotten so much fan mail from Canada, and it is insane that somebody will that they'll spend $20 on shipping. and then I know, and then they'll spend more money on what's inside the box. It is crazy. I mean, we just opened our fan mail. Well, we actually have the fan mail shipped to a private office at my dad's work. So it's crazy. It's crazy to have fan mail too. Like, that is a crazy feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, yeah, you mentioned postage. Believe me, my friend, it's not cheap to send anything in this country.
Yeah, not at all.
I just sent out like 20 prizes, and yeah, it was a lot more money than I thought.
Yeah, I can imagine. It is awful.
All right, Evan. Anything else you want to add before I let you go tonight?
I just want to thank all the listeners, and I want to thank you guys for inviting me onto the show.
You're very welcome.
Hope to hear back from you guys soon.
Absolutely. All right, Evan. Thank you very much.